everybody. It's time for Let's Talk. We are back for the new year. It is 1 week into the new year. We are at the new studio, which we put together.
Yep.
Pretty handily too, may I add.
I like it.
It's nice, bigger than the old studio where we had the desk. We still have a desk, you cannot see it. It's like a little desk that we're standing at. You may notice there's a big change. Nate, who used to be behind the camera, is now in front of the camera. And we decided after we did our review of Star Wars Awakening, which was an excellent movie, and I highly recommend you go watch it and enjoy what J.J. Abrams did with that movie and that franchise. I think is really great. I think you agree.
Excellent.
I'm excited to possibly go watch it again at the drive-ins, because where we live, there's a drive-in, so that should be fun. It is a new year, isn't it, Nate?
Yep, it sure is.
How was your first week of the new year?
You know, it wasn't too bad. I kind of hit the ground running. I went for a brief vacation to Washington, D.C., spent time with my sister and her family, had a good time, and then flew in late Sunday night and went to work next morning at 8:30, and so I've been crazy ever since, been busy.
Yeah. And we had a good New Year's as well. It's nice to have you back. The thing about New Year's is people make resolutions on New Year's.
Yes, they do.
They quickly then break them.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I think a resolution, Nate, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I would think a resolution is basically a goal for that year. So me and you have been doing this thing for, since about last year, I think?
Yeah, it was last year sometime.
Well, we call it Man Talk. Maybe someday we'll make a book out of it and you guys can all read about it. How about that? That'd be nice.
Hey.
And more Man Talks can come from it. Basic idea is we are encouraging each other. I think that's a big, important thing. And the thing about goals and the thing about resolutions is the reason I think they get broken so often is because people make unrealistic goals or unrealistic resolutions, or maybe because they don't think of them as goals and they say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds this month or this year, and then they don't think about what they need to change.
Yeah.
And the one thing that me and you have done with Man Talk is we say, here's a list of goals that we want to meet, but we don't look at it month per month, we look at it week per week, and we have a system that we do with it. The other thing I think about goals, and I think this is good for any aspect, any time of year to make a goal, because I think in my understanding of reading things that we are creatures that were created to change. And even if you read that in Scripture, when we come to Christ, we are to have a change in our spirit and how we think and how we view things. And as we grow and as we mature, we're going to think of things differently. We're going to change. There's no, would you agree with that? We're creatures of change, whether we like it or not.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you may get married. If you don't get married, great for you. If you do get married, great for you too. Don't think I'm saying marriage is horrible, but marriage is a huge change from being single, and that is just a massive change, really.
Yeah, yeah.
People don't think about it. You got to think about somebody else. You got to do what they want to do or compromise. It's a mess, but it's a wonderful mess. Wonderful mess. I'm happily married.
It's worth it in the long run.
Married.
With the right
It's
person.
worth it in the long run. I understand it may not be for everybody, but I read an article this week. Actually, a series of articles. I will put a link to it below for our readers, for our watchers to read, viewers, for them to read. And it was by Donald Miller. Do you know Donald Miller's stuff at all?
I've heard some stuff about him. I think I've read some things.
Yeah, sure. He wrote the book Blue Like Jazz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really good book. If you haven't read it, go ahead and read it. But he wrote a series on changing, making goals, and changing. He was talking about his own personal life and change. The name of it was Why Refusing to Change is Killing You. Excellent article, excellent series about how maybe you need to get rid of some people, you need to make goals and do some things to change. And I will forward you the link as well. I meant to do that earlier in the week and I forgot to. So let's talk about some things. One of the goals that we have for Let's Talk, and one of the things is we're going to work a little more diligently on it this year. And we're going to, like I said, Nate's here, I think because we did the review, and I thought, this really works nicely with the two of us going back and forth.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Just kind of play off of one another.
Hmm. Yeah. The thing is, we'll have meetings. We both hate meetings, but we'll have meetings, and we'll text each other back and forth, read articles, and really just be ready for Let's Talk. And one of the goals for Let's Talk is, one, that it'll be Christian-based, but it'll also be based, if you're not a Christian, you can watch it and hopefully gain something from it. We want to encourage people to grow in themselves and to grow stronger. We probably won't be taking a lot of current events. The original thought was to do current events, but that's difficult because then we get into political issues, and I don't feel like getting into political issues that much. I enjoy
Okay.
talking about them, but for this, no, because then you're just going to get people who, they're completely for or they're completely against, and we don't want to do that. So that's one of the goals. But one of mine and Autumn's goals for this year, and I'm going to share this, and then maybe you can share some of yours.
All
One of
right.
the goals that me and Autumn had, as we were looking at things this year, we said we want to become people that eat healthy. Now, we defined what that was. The first thing when you make a goal, you should define what that goal is. Not just make a goal, say, hey, I want to run a marathon. Okay, well, that's great. When do you want to run it? How are you going to train for it? You've got to define that goal. I want to run a marathon could mean I want to run it next month. I want to run it in 2 years. So we said, okay, what is eating healthy to us? So we did some research. And we said, okay, so we want to be healthy eaters. We don't want to diet, because dieting is, you do it and then you're done, and then but we want to make it a lifestyle. So we work this week. We go week by week. I think the important thing with goals is to go week by week, make a list so you can see where your progress is. And one of the things we said, let's not eat food that is processed with a lot of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, now 1 day a week, we can be a little laxed on that. And we can have, a Coke or a candy bar, but not go crazy and have 8 Cokes and 8 candy bars and 15 cookies. But because as we're preparing, and hopefully sometime this year to get pregnant, not me, I'm not going to get pregnant.
Yeah,
That'd be
that would be
weird.
really
It'd
awkward.
be awkward. But Autumn, we said we want to, one, for her to be healthy, for us to be healthy. So the first thing is we want to become healthy eaters. So we defined what that was. This week we looked at the goals, and we both looked at what went right this week and what went wrong. And one of the things that went right for us this week is we had a plan of what to eat each day. We said, okay, we'll eat this, this, and this. The other thing that went good is we stocked the house with healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
We got rid of most of the junk food by the end of January, which, trust me, was tasty in some ways, but I almost burned out on just eating sugary
Wow.
foods. I have no true desire to go get a candy bar right now. So yesterday was our lax day, and the one thing I think we did pretty good, but was a couple areas we could have tweaked a little better, so we're working on that. But we don't beat ourselves up because of that.
Yeah.
We just say, this went right, this went wrong. What can we learn from what went wrong? And how can we prevent that? The other thing was we both want to start working out. Now we'd said, we're starting this next week, so this week we're going to start integrating the workout process. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves, and that's the other thing I think people do. They overwhelm. They get gung-ho, and they want to do all this stuff, and they try to do it all at once. But we said, we'll start this week, then this week, and then this week. Don't wait too long in between. I think that's a good idea not to wait too long in between.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that's, it's a lot like when you're trying to have goals with your money, you have to integrate things slowly. And Dave Ramsey does a great job of saying, here's step 1, step 2, step 3, but go back and look and see what you did wrong. Any thoughts on that, Nate? Anything, maybe some goals you've been working on or set this year and you want to kind of share?
Yeah, I've got several different goals that I have in mind. Of course, one is as far as eating and everything. I know some people are just born with wonderful genes that it's hard to lose weight and things like that. And some people, it's just a lifestyle thing. And like I think you said, the difference between dieting and lifestyle changes. I mean, one is, you got to follow this thing just like that. You got to eat this, you got to eat that. But a lifestyle change is just kind of taking this, taking that, putting it together, and seeing kind of what you come up with, and just go with it. A lot of it is the whole fitness thing as well. You know, it's not all that hard to come up with a plan. There's exercise videos out there that are like 20, 25 minutes long even that you can do each day, every other day, things like that. But I know that, like, you've probably heard different phrases about those who fail to plan, plan to fail, things like that. And
I love those cliches.
it's such a cliche, but it's kind of true. If you don't,
it's very true. You're right. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't plan it, you're not going to do it. If I don't
Yeah.
plan to get up in the morning and put in my Sean T Insanity Max or whatever, maybe you're doing the 90. What is that?
like P90X.
Yeah, P90X
and
or
things like that.
whatever it is that you're doing. If you say, well, maybe I'll get up, then you're probably not going to get up. But if you plan to do it, you at least have it in your head when the alarm goes off. It's like, okay, this is what I need to do. Now, there may be things that go wrong with that, and you need to tweak it.
Yes. And that's where, in church, not this Sunday, but a week ago, I was in D.C., and the pastor there, she mentioned something about New Year's resolutions. A lot of people, they make those, and they're all excited. 1 or 2 times, they fail at it, and they just drop it entirely. Like, I didn't get up to work out, or instead of having a nice grilled chicken something at home, I went to Five Guys and got the big double burger with extra fries, which sounds wonderful, by the way.
It does. You want to go
But,
to Five Guys when we're done?
No,
we better not.
Probably not a good idea. But, yeah, exactly. They quit after 1 or 2 failed attempts. The lifestyle change just goes with that. If you fail at something, it's not really failing, it's just something you need to tweak. That's why it's so good to kind of talk about things each week. Hey, what went wrong here? What can I do to maybe improve that? Or do what I can to get up earlier at this time. Maybe pack for lunch. That way you're not tempted to go over to Speedway and get...
I'm never tempted to go to Speedway.
I've been tempted from time to time, but...
McDonald's maybe, but
Yeah.
Speedway no.
Yeah.
But they do have good hot dogs. I will admit Speedway does have good hot dogs for whatever reason. I think it's because it reminds me of a ballpark.
The
hot
fact that
dog.
they're right across the street from where I work, that probably has some say in...
But those tornado
I ran out of
things-
time to pack a lunch, so I'll just go over and get... The tornadoes, they kind of grow on you. But they're not good for you in any way, shape, or form. Speedway, don't sue us, but it's not good.
That's not good.
It's not good for
Well, we're not saying anything bad about Speedway.
you. No,
It's a
they've
fine
got great gas. Anyway,
Let's get back on subject.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, those are goals that a lot of people have, especially at the beginning of the year. It's really a lifestyle change you can make any time of year. A lot of people just choose January 1st because it's a new year, a new whatever. Some people do it on their birthdays. A lot of times, like this year, I've always, almost every year, I think, it's a good idea. Okay, I'm turning 37, so maybe a good goal for me to get to is to lose 37 pounds. And, that would be really cool. But it's not something that just happens overnight.
I think that's a good point because I think what happens is a lot of people say, I want to run a 5K, and they get up and they get out the door and they start running right off the bat, and then they're like, oh, I only made it half a mile. Forget this, it's really hard. And they don't think or they don't plan properly. I think the big thing was it last year or 2 years ago, the couch to 5K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, once I reversed it and said 5K to couch.
Nice.
I think that's easier. The thing that they do is they have it already planned out for people. Then they say, this week you're going to do this, run this. They even got tapes or they've got trainers. You run this far, you stop, you walk, you run. You're not going to just jump out and all of a sudden be a healthy eater or be this very athletic person or whatever your goal or resolution is. It's just not going to happen overnight. And I think the same thing, let's switch this over. The same thing happens to people that come to Christ. They come to Christ and they get frustrated and they get mad because they they put unrealistic expectations on themselves, whether it be because they've heard sermons from pastors or other Christians say, oh, this is what should happen and it should happen like this, but it's not the same for everybody. You said it earlier. Some people have these genes where they just start to work out and they lose the weight instantly, and other people, it takes time, and each person's different. So as we come to know Christ, our change in Christ and through the grace of God is going to always be different, but sometimes people get a little upset because they think, oh, I shouldn't even be thinking this thought, or I shouldn't be doing this. And it's a process that takes time. As we were talking today in church about Galatians and the church, the one thing we don't want to do is fall backwards, but we want to continue to grow in Christ and not fall for false teachings, and just continue to read and study and pray for wisdom as we read and study the Word. And the same goes for as we're setting goals. We want to kind of study what those goals are. If you want to become financially independent, you have to study and read books about people that have already done it. You know, I wouldn't recommend going and reading a book by a guy that's flat broke who says, I've got the system that's going to make you wealthy, because obviously if he's broken in debt, that's not going to work. But if you're going to, you know, Dave Ramsey, you want to listen to, because he was broke, he fixed it, he now has no debt, owes no bank anything.
And he wants to share that.
And he wants to share that information. He says, this is how I did it. And he said, I went and talked to other people and saw how they did it. And I went and talked to people who have lots of money and figured out how they did it. And that's what you want to do. If you want to become physically fit, you want to go and study the people that do that and figure out what they did or how they do it, or go, you know, buy a program and they'll give you the advice on how to do that.
Yes.
And I think that's just how it is all over with lifestyles and changing. And that's what we want to continue to grow on this show as well, and progress and be better. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode. We don't want to go over too long. I think we're already pretty close to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're glad that you watched. We appreciate it. If you enjoy what you're seeing here, we encourage you to hit the subscribe button. We will be back every week at the same time, and we will continue to get better and better, hopefully.
Yeah.
Share us with your friends, and I have my own side projects that I do on YouTube that will also be shared, and Nate may be getting his own. I don't know if he does.
Yeah, you never know.
That's fine. We'll share it with you. But we hope you guys enjoyed this. We hope your week goes well, and we will see you next week. And hey, we encourage you to make goals and go over them weekly. Find somebody that you can trust that's going to encourage you, not somebody that's going to be, somebody that's just going to bring you down every week.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Yeah, but remember, look at what went wrong, figure out why it went wrong, don't get discouraged. John Maxwell wrote a great book called Failing Forward. Talks all about how when we fail, we should learn from those failures. So we'll talk to you guys later. Till then, bye.
See ya.